Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Lincoln Journal Stars Life in the Red podcast, episode 4 for this season. As always, Luke Mullin and Amie Just. But today we got somebody new. We've got our Husker volleyball reporter, Brent Wagner. Thanks for joining us. How's it feel to
Thanks
be
for
back
having me.
at it?
Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
So, of course, we had to get Brent on because big things coming up next week, Volleyball Day in Nebraska. And usually we dedicate, a few minutes, but ahead of the season, we want to get a season preview. We'll talk all the position battles. Look forward, of course, to Volleyball Day in Nebraska. But you've been going through preseason with the team right now. As we record this, it's the day before the season begins, so it's right here. They've gotten through all these weeks. Just what's the vibe kind of been like with the team? A lot of young players trying to kind of figure out what their roles are, right?
Yeah, I'd say just really competitive. I think John Cook really likes this team. I think he thinks he's kind of got some throwback players, to a different era who just want to compete and battle for spots and battle to make Nebraska a better team and don't care about what happened in the past and aren't thinking about the future of themselves. So it's really exciting to see where they'll start the year and then what the finished product will look like 3 or 4 months from now.
Yeah, certainly. A lot of energy, enthusiasm. I think that kind of stands out from the glimpses we've seen so far. But, you wrote a couple weeks ago about 3 major position battles that were happening. And, these are still ongoing, roles aren't cemented, but want to touch on those. We'll touch on all the positions. But starting off with those position battles, first one at outside hitter, Lindsey Krause, Allie Batenhorst, Harper Murray, Hayden Kubik. A lot of talent there, a lot of players that you think they're going to want to get on the court, but who stands out as kind of having those top roles so far?
They're probably Lindsey Krause and Harper Murray will probably get the most extensive chance. I think they'll all get chances to play and prove themselves. Not how you start the season doesn't mean how you end it. I mean, I can remember Kelsey Fiend maybe wasn't a starter at one point and then ended up being a great player in the NCAA tournament. Maddie Kubik, I think, didn't start one season great and then ended up being great in the NCAA tournament. So he certainly wants to find a lineup, but I'm convinced that, if somebody is playing, not having a great match, he's going to look down to that bench and say, next person up and give him a chance and see what they can do. That may mean he goes back the next match, he goes back to the same lineup, but I think they're going to have a lot of options, especially outside hitter. That's certainly most deep position. And I mean, Hayden Kubik, you would have thought, a sophomore was way down the line, and then she had a really good red-white match. So, and John said she'd been one of the best players in serve receive. So, somebody who was way down the line is still a part of the conversation at this point in the season.
Yeah, to your point, I mean, we've seen those hitter rotations; those change a lot throughout the course of a season. But I think, Amie, you look at Harper Murray, coming in freshman, it's like, you never know how quick they're going to adapt. But from what we've seen so far, I mean, she swings so well. She looks the part out there, and you think she's going to be a big contributor for this team.
Yeah, when I was watching the first day of practice, sitting next to Brent jamming out to Bro Country, I could not stop watching her. I knew going in, my column idea was going to be just focus on the freshmen, but my eyes kept gravitating to her and to Andy Jackson, who we'll talk a little bit about later. But she just, I don't know if it's just her energy, her persona, just the vibes that she gives off, kind of all of the above. I just find her electrifying and super fun to watch. And, we'll see if she cracks the starting lineup and stays there for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I like Krause at the spot a lot. I mean, she has the experience. So all of those others, they'll have their chances. But moving on to middle blocker, as you alluded to, Andy Jackson, she'll be in the mix there. Maggie Mendelson, 2 of the younger players. Becca Alec, again, kind of the returner there. So how much do you expect that kind of be Becca Alec kind of gets first crack at it and then they rotate in? Is that your sense of things?
I think, it'd be Becca Alec and probably Andy Jackson will be, when it becomes clear what, their top lineup will be, it'll probably be those 2. But same thing, if Andy Jackson isn't playing well, then, they can go to Maggie Mendelson or, when they kind of find out what what their best defensive, are they focused on what's our best defensive lineup, and then whatever offense we get from that spot is a bonus, or are they really focused on trying to get their offense better than last year, and who provides that? So certainly, I think we're going to see both. Beck Alec will obviously play a lot, and then I think we'll end up seeing quite a bit of both Andy Jackson and Maggie Mendelson.
Any other thoughts on Andy Jackson? Why you like her?
I just, I thought, going in that, maybe Maggie, having been here a little longer, would have an edge. But again, like, I just am drawn to her, like, just the way that she, goes up for blocks, the way that she, just commands the floor when they were going through drills. And you saw that again on Saturday for the red white. And they are, like, regardless of position, this team is, blessed with riches at every spot. And I do not envy John Cook in having to make these decisions, because it's going to be really hard.
For sure. And as you mentioned about, important spots, we'll move on to the third position battle there. Setter doesn't get any bigger than that. Got to run the whole offense. Everything flows to them. So Kennedy Orr, she's a returner. Bergen Riley, she's the freshman. They're kind of both, going back and forth, doing showing their skills and, having those opportunities there during preseason. But it seems like, if anything, that's kind of still up in the air.
Yeah, I think Bergen Riley will get a great chance to prove that she can be the leader of the team and help that offense be better. Obviously, part of that is serving too, and defense. They have the number one defense in the nation last year, and they want to keep that. But she'll definitely get a long runway, I think, to see what she can do with this team. But Kennedy Orr is obviously a great talent. She's lacked the consistency to this point in her career, but sounds like she's had a pretty good preseason as well, and I would expect she'll get a chance to play. They start the season with 3 matches over 3 days, and I would expect she'll get a chance to show how she's improved as well.
And with Bergen Riley too, I think something that you bring up, these lineup decisions that John Cook's going to have to make. Like, I don't think he's not going to trust a freshman setter to run the offense unless she's ready, right? So the fact that we are at this point where it's very clear she's going to get some playing time, it's clear that she can do everything that he expects out of a setter.
Yeah, and it's not just that. When he was asked the other day who the best server, the most consistent server was, without hesitation, he said Bergen Riley. So I think that's going to play a factor too, just because of how reliable she has been in practice at the service line.
Good point. Yeah, all around game.
Yes.
A big part of it. So the other two positions, we'll get through these a little quicker. Right side, Merritt Beeson, Carolyn Uravicius. Those are the two spots there. Beeson, coming in, experienced player. You know what you're getting in her. She's been really, really solid so far. And then at libero, really good depth there. Lexi Rodriguez, returner, so consistent. I think everybody knows what she brings. And then you have Lainey Choboy and Maisie Bosiger, those two depth pieces they can serve to coming on defense. Those two spots, Beeson and Rodriguez, got them locked down, right?
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty similar to last year where it was Lexi Rodriguez and Kenzie Knuckles. Lainey kind of slides into that Kenzie Knuckles role as a defensive specialist, but you look at her as like having a second all Big Ten level libero, just great defensive plays, energy, and fire. Just one of those players that kind of makes the team better all around.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And Beeson, going to be very important for the offense as well. So those are kind of the position breakdowns we want to get to, but a couple discussion points real quick. No seniors on this team. Kind of unique, different format, but I'm sure some leaders have emerged. Who have you kind of heard from the players or from the coaching staff that they look to there on the court?
Well, they voted Lexi Rodriguez and Merritt captain, so you certainly start there. But I think Lindsay Krause, both, how she plays and how she helps those freshmen along, is going to be a major leader for the team on the court as well.
Yeah, so even though it's no seniors, kind of like it's who you expect, the veterans who've been around the program or, who who have those leadership qualities. So certainly that will be those players, as you mentioned, the captains, those will be the ones that they look to. But a little bit more of, something up in the air as we talk about these outside hitters, who's in the mix. I'm going to put you on the spot, have you make a prediction. At the end of the season, who do you think is going to lead the team in kills?
Lindsay Krause.
Agree, Amie?
I think it's going to depend on who the setter is. I think if the setter is Kennedy Orr, then it will absolutely be Lindsay Krause. If it's Bergen Riley, I think we will see things a little more spread out. But I still think Lindsay will have the edge. Not to say that Harper and Merritt won't be involved in that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Krause, that's who you look to. Experience, you know that she can do it at a high level. So a lot of different players there, though. I think if you look at what it's going to look like at the end of the season, there's going to be a lot of kills going around between all those different hitters. So again, that'll play out. But as we kind of move forward, as you mentioned, the upcoming weekend, Nebraska will get underway. Matches against Utah State on Friday, Lipscomb and SMU there over the weekend. I'm just coming off the red-white scrimmage. Cook called it, quote, by far the best red-white we've ever had since I've been here. Any takeaways about the lineups, about what you kind of expect Nebraska to throw at these three non-conference opponents this weekend?
That was amazing. That was like radio there. Quote, John. I like that.
I had to make it clear, this is not my opinion.
Yeah.
This was Cook's opinion.
Oh, no, I think it's kind of similar to this opening tournament. Most years where they kind of have some teams, you want some teams that are going to force you to play well. And then but you also want to be able to play a lot of people. So you want to be able to use all those players and kind of see what you got and try some different lineups, and try some different rotations. Maybe let some people play back row for a while. So, they're good teams, 20-win teams, NCAA tournament type teams. So I think it's a good little start to the season. And then obviously just a few days after that, you're playing Omaha in Memorial Stadium, which is going to have a lot of nerves and things like that. So you want to feel good about your team going into that.
Yeah, good point for sure. That giving that basis, making sure that they're comfortable out there, really important this weekend. And it's kind of like all the offseason talk has of course been about Volleyball Day in Nebraska, this major huge event, and it's like, okay, they still got these three matches to get through this weekend before we get there, but might as well jump into it. Such a big event, and the athletic department, they've been working at all these details, planning over the last few months, and even before then, when they were kind of brainstorming this idea. So a few of the details to note: the setup for the day: UNK will play Wayne State at 4:30. Nebraska's match against Omaha scheduled for 7. Again, timing and stuff, it's fluid. Stuff happens, matches go long, whatever. But that's how the things are scheduled, and all the details about parking, game day information, that stuff can be found. Huskers.com, they have that all laid out. But weather, that was kind of a concern when this was scheduled, of course, late August. Today, it's like 100 plus degrees, whatever it is.
Currently at 12:03 p.m. on Thursday, it is 94 degrees, and that does not include the heat index. It is spicy outside today.
So, yeah, I mean, it's brutal right now, but if we look at the forecast, tentatively showing 84 degrees at 5 o'clock on that day, 77 at 8. So that sounds like fair weather to get a volleyball match, right?
Yeah, I worry about the wind. What that's looking like. As of the other day, it didn't appear like it was going to be that significant, which is great. Hope it stays that way.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of logistics too. There's contingency plans about moving the match into Devaney if they needed to because of the weather. Brent, was there anything that kind of stood out to you about all the logistics that had to go into this from a volleyball perspective, just to make sure that the day kind of goes smoothly?
I mean, they've done all they can do, I think, to try to make it a successful event. They've done some kind of test runs with the court. They've in May, when they had the stadium kind of set up for graduation, they brought the practice players in and brought the court in and kind of tried out this platform that the stage will be built on, just to see, if it's going to be a good surface to play on and if it's going to be safe for the players. And they've kind of made some adjustments with that. So obviously they're very concerned about player safety, and making it a great experience for the players and the fans. So yeah, they've thought everything through. Obviously, they're obviously planning to have a lot of those the kids with the towels, and people with mops to do everything they can to keep the playing surface dry, even though there's the potential for the players to be sweating a lot there. And yeah, they'll have. I mean, it's obviously going to be very different. Nebraska has the benefit of they play beach volleyball every year, so they're on the beach in Hawaii, and then they're on the beach in California, where they're dealing with wind as well. And so they have a good idea there. And then they'll have a 2-hour practice on Tuesday night in there, pretty similar to the time. So they'll kind of get used to the big stadium and lights and things like that. And then they'll have a practice also on Wednesday morning, I believe. So they're going to have 3 hours to kind of get used to the stadium and the surface before 80,000 plus show up there on Wednesday night.
Yeah, and the good news is at least Memorial Stadium will block out the setting sun. I'm imagining, staring straight into the sun, you're trying to receive a serve. So thankfully that will not be part of things. But yeah, a lot of different considerations there. Good to hear that they're getting experience on the court and getting comfortable with the setup there. So a few other things to note, a lot of entertainment for the day. As you mentioned, it's big for the fans. Lots of people coming into Lincoln for this. They'll have a fan rally at the Coliseum earlier in the day. A big part of the volleyball day is as well looking forward to the tunnel walk that the volleyball players will get to experience. I think that's going to be a really, really cool moment. And then afterwards as well, Scotty McCreery holding a concert for all those who are interested in that. So big day, a lot going on. What do you just think about the impact that this is going to have, all these people coming into Lincoln for this event?
Oh, it's just really great that a lot of people that don't normally get to attend a match at the Devaney Center are going to get to go. It's great that high school volleyball teams are going to get to go together, load up a bus and come down to Lincoln. Club volleyball teams. Obviously, it's going to be great to be there, but I'm pretty excited to go back and watch the broadcast afterwards and just see, those stadium shots are going to look like, and all the things that Big Ten Network is going to do to produce this show and show this product, and look back at the history of the program and how they got from where they're begging people to come to matches at the NU Coliseum after football games to now, 80,000 plus at Memorial Stadium. So it'll be a great event. I'm sure the photos will be great. I'm sure the afterwards watching the broadcast will be great as well.
I thought you were going to say you're just looking forward to the Scotty McCreery. You might be writing during.
Yeah, and it's nice. They're gonna, the stage is already set up, so they got it planned out really well. So I think there's only going to be like 10 or 15 minutes in between the end of the match and the start of the concert. So people don't have to wait a long time to take in some of that concert. And students are going to be on the field both during the match and during the concert. So that's going to be a really cool scene with hundreds of people out on the field.
Yeah, to be a loud student section. And also worth noting as we talk about the impact, potential, record attendance for a volleyball match, one of the largest crowds ever for a women's sporting event. And another detail to note, athletic director Trev Alberts on his radio show on Wednesday, he said that there will be national Adidas representatives will be there. New York Times is sending a reporter, Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti, as well as NCAA President Charlie Baker, all expected to be in attendance. Like, it's clear, yes, this is a huge deal in Nebraska, but as a national collegiate athletics event, this is also making waves. People are looking at this and saying, wow.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that there's more national people here than just one national reporter, because this is a big deal. And, if other outlets, send people, phenomenal. Like, this event needs to be covered. It's going to be one of, if not the largest women's sporting event ever, period. And if the national media decides to just cover week 1 of college football instead, it's embarrassing.
Well, I'm glad the NCAA president going to be there. I think that's a
Yeah.
really
Oh,
nice detail.
That
Yeah.
is amazing. No duh that Tony Petitti will be here. I've heard that a large chunk of the Big Ten like C-suite will be here, not just him. So they're going to be here in force. Glad that the NCAA president is going to be here. I would imagine that there will be other high-ranking officials from the NCAA going to be here as well. But yeah, no, I just hope that more national media will be here because it's the biggest thing in women's athletics possibly ever.
Yeah, it deserves a lot of national recognition. So again, a lot of focus on there. Those are the volleyball day in Nebraska discussion that we have. Again, more details, huskers.com if you're looking for it. So Amie and Brent will be there. We'll have a large team covering photos, videos, stories, everything from the day. So make sure to stay tuned, journalstar.com for that. And briefly before we wrap up, I just want to have a little bit of a season outlook for this team. We talked about the roster, but the competition in the Big Ten, that doesn't change. It's always super strong. The team's nationally ranked in the AVCA preseason poll. Wisconsin at number 2, Nebraska tied for 5th, Minnesota at number 7, Penn State number 8, Ohio State number 14, Purdue number 16. So a lot of top talent there. And kind of looking ahead a little bit after this August, those 3 matches to open the season, Volleyball Day in Nebraska, September is going to be one heck of a grind with the schedule that they're playing.
Yeah, Creighton always is a really good match. Have to make a really difficult trip to Stanford, which is should be a top 10 team and has a great right side hitter that can take over a match and kindle Kip. So yeah, it's a really tough year. I expect Nebraska to be a really good team, but how far does that take you? We're gonna find out. Texas won the national championship. Have a lot of great players from that team. Wisconsin going to be really, really, really good again. They got some transfers. They had a good team. They added some transfers. One point I was going through their roster and like, wow, great player. And I had forgotten about Schmreck, who was a big part of why they won the national championship match against Nebraska in 2021. So yeah, Wisconsin will be really good too. So yeah, there's a lot of good teams. It's a fascinating year for Nebraska to see how much this big junior class can improve, and then how quickly this big freshman class can, figure out how to play at a high level in college volleyball.
Yeah, and I think if you look at kind of the big picture, it's maybe one of the most talented rosters that you have coming in, but a lot of questions about it too. So with that in mind, like, what are kind of the expectations, the potential that this group has? Final Four run, I mean, they're number 5 preseason. They're right in that mix of what people expect from them nationally. But from up close, seeing them in person, what do you think kind of the expectations are for the group?
So when I interviewed the 5 freshmen on media day, I just, asked them all like the same questions. And, I asked all of them, what would it mean for you to contribute significantly to this team this year? And 3 out of the 5 of them said the words national championship. So that's where their sights are, whether that's this year or next year or the year after. But they are not settling for anything less than that.
Agree? They got national championship in their heads.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're certainly a team that can have a chance to make the Final Four, and if you make the Final Four, then that certainly gives you a chance. Anything can happen once you get to that stage. I can remember back in 2015, just hadn't made the Final Four for a while. And it's just like, hey, maybe if they just get there, but then they got there and won the national championship in Omaha. So, like I said, a lot of good teams. Expect them to be, Wisconsin and Nebraska to be the top teams in the Big Ten. And when you're one of the top 2 teams in the Big Ten, that means you got a chance to host a regional. And you host a regional, then you got a decent chance to get to the Final Four.
For sure. And just, I think you look at kind of the mentality John Cook brings to the team, right? I mean, they're always thinking big. They've always got those long-term goals in mind. So I just got to get through the season, accomplish those step by step. And like I said, 3 matches this weekend. Volleyball Day in Nebraska coming up next Wednesday as well. So, as I said, journalstar.com, Brent and Amie will be there. They'll be excited to bring you all the coverage, and appreciate you joining us for the season preview. Hope all the listeners have maybe learned a thing or two about your thoughts on the upcoming volleyball season. So thank you for that. And for all our listeners and viewers out there, we will have a football kind of schedule season preview. I look forward to Minnesota here coming out early next week. So look forward to that. And once again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.